I'm Sam Perlozo, and here we are back again at first base. We talked about leads, we talked about how to get back to the bag. Now we want to talk about that all exciting stolen base. You know, he gets on base, he puts pressure on people. I mean, fun part of the game, right? We always think, like we talked about before, that just the speed guys can steal bases. But that's really not true all the time. There are times when we know what the times are for the pitchers, and we can talk about that briefly. When we time, you see a first base coach over in the box timing the pitcher. What he's doing is when the pitcher comes set and looks over, his first movement towards home plate is when the clock starts, and as soon as that ball is caught, the clock stops, and we get a time out of that that tells us whether we have a chance because of the speed of our runner, the arm of the catcher, how fast the delivery was, whether we have a legitimate shot at stealing second base. So in order to do that, we take our aggressive lead, which was 3 steps plus 1. So we go out 1, 2, 3. Now we're worried about that pitcher a little bit, so we're going to try to get just a little bit bigger lead so that we can steal. And we talked about the turn crossover. So once we decide to steal, we are going to try to get this foot first step as far out as we can and in line to the bag so that we can be safe at second and being in a straight line. So we want this thing to really turn and get out here and not just be a short step and then try to turn back again. We want that turn to be all the way in a long step so that we can get to second and steal that base. Now we want to talk about some tricks of the trade. Right-hander's different than a left-handed pitcher. Let's face it, the left-hander's looking right at you. He can see how far your lead is. He can see if you're getting antsy, your foot's starting to shake like you want to go. The right-hander doesn't have that advantage as much. So he's going to take a peek over there, and he doesn't always see everything that he should. It's still, he can pick you off. But there's some keys. I've coached first base for a couple of years, and our players were very successful in stealing bases. We didn't steal because we just wanted to try. We felt like we put everything in order and our chances were good that we could steal a base. And the amazing part was all the pitchers that you look at, if you really pay attention to them, will do something that you can pick out that gives you a key. Now, you're not going to get all of them. Some of them are just too quick to the plate that they have slide steps where their times to the plate are so quick that it doesn't matter who's at first, they're not going to be able to steal. But we're constantly looking for little things that the pitcher does to give us an edge to steal a base. All right, let's talk about a couple of them. You talk about a right-handed pitcher. He comes set like this, all right, and he might come with his shoulders open a little bit. So for him to make his first move, he has to turn in and go. So if I find that happens, when I'm a base runner, I lock right on his front shoulder, and when he starts to turn in, that's when I go, all right? There are a lot of guys that talk about a right-handed pitcher's heel stays on the ground. If you look at his heel, right heel, and he throws home, the heel stays on the ground, and you can go. If the heel comes up, he's going to come over and throw to first base. I don't like that as much because once I decide that that heel is on the ground, I probably should have been gone because he did something else first. Pitchers get into habits that they don't realize because they're thinking about getting the hitter out all the time, and they do things with their head. Here's one example that I've seen several pitchers do. They'll come like this, they move their head a lot when they're set, right? They throw home. And then when he comes set and his head doesn't move, they throw to first base. So you start at the top and you start working your way down on a pitcher to see if you can find something. Some of them you're not going to get. Some of them have a hang move, like left-handers can come up and just hang, and if you go, they come to first base. And then some left-handers don't do that. They don't come up and hang. They just come straight back. As soon as that foot crosses the rubber, you're allowed to go. So if I don't have something on somebody, I always try to figure something else out. I try to pull some kind of rabbit out of the hat and try try to trick a guy. Let's say there's a good left-hander on the mound that I can't read his move. So what I'll do a few times is I'll take my lead out here, and it'll be a one-way lead. One-way lead means I'm coming out here with the only thought in my head is going back to first base. I just want to see his move. So if I get out here and I got all my weight on the back side here, and then he throws over, I'm going to come back. I already know I'm coming back anyway. So what I'll do, and a good left-hander, he'll come up to his set position, and he starts to throw home. I'll fake back like he had me, even though he threw home. So he'll see me do that 2 pitches in a row. And then I'm trying to play a little cat and mouse with him, where he sees me over here. He knows I don't have his lead, at least that's what I'm hoping. And on the next pitch, I'm going to cross my fingers and hope that he doesn't throw over, and I'm going to go on his first move. One little trick, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Another thing you can do is come out. I've done this before where this is like a giant lead, and I'll draw a mark out here. And I'll take that one-way lead, and the pitcher saw me make that mark, and he says, that's too big a lead, I'm throwing over. And sure enough, he does. Okay, so what I do the next pitch is, I'll go, well, I'm not going to get out that far this time. I'm going to stay here. Pitcher looks over. I'm hoping he realizes that I'm not that far out now. Probably not going to go. He throws home, I take off, and hopefully I cat and moused him again and got to steal second base. But you can run up and down the pitcher. Sometimes it's where his feet are. Some left-handers I've seen will come set like this, feet parallel like that. He would go to first, and then other left-handers would come set, and that foot would be back, and he'd put it up like he's going to throw to first, and he'd throw home. So there's a lot of tricks. All you have to do is pay attention. There's tons of film in the major leagues and the minor leagues now, and in your house. You got iPads. You know, if you watch a pitcher, you can film him. You can pick something out, go up and down, start at the head, work your way down, start the feet, work your way up. But you're going to find some things. And once you get them, coupled with the time, you get your good aggressive lead. You realize the pitcher has the ball in his hand, so you know what we talked about before. And you get your aggressive lead. You don't have to look back. You know exactly where you are. You get the good crossover step, head to second base, and always take a peek. I think that's one of the things that we say we're going to straight steal, but even if the hitter has the take on, he's not going to swing. The pitcher can throw the ball in the dirt, and the ball could hit a pole back there and kick off to the side, and heck, we can go all the way to third base. So we actually time ourselves. We know that it's going to take about 2 or 3 steps before that ball is getting close to the plate. So we take a look back when we're running. We take a look at home plate to see where the ball is, and then we realize the catcher caught it. We turn back and go into second base. He throws the ball in the dirt. We've taken a peek. We keep going hard. We make our turn, and it's possible that we may make it to third base. You never know. So take a peek, make a good turn. Let's get to second base.